Hi, Miguel, back with your video analysis. It's from Sunday, April 3rd, 2016. This was a one-of-one lesson, and what we worked on was a swing introduction or swing review from what you had brought to the golf course. You had a little bit of pre-knowledge about the one-plane swing, so you have some features in your setup that promote that. You are definitely a one-plane swinger. When you see your down-the-line view, you're going to see how your arm is parallel to the angle of your shoulders. And that's a big plus because your shoulders and arms work together as one piece in delivering the energy that you provide from your wind-up down the shaft and into the club head. I think you're going to really like this video because it really portrays the swing that you brought to the golf course and then the one you left with. It's really a difference of night and day. There's significant and measurable improvement. So you definitely succeeded in your lesson, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate the fact that you're a good student and that you put the time and effort in to make this particular lesson happen. Let's get started on your face-on view here. Some of the things we look for right off in our setup is our alignment, our posture, our grip, and our ball position. So your ball position here is in the center of your stance, and that needs to be somewhere off the left instep about 3 inches. So if you move the ball forward in your stance about 5 inches from where it is here in this video, you're going to have a more consistent shot. Remember how I showed you how to put the club in front of the ball about 3 inches with the leading edge pointing at your intermediate target. The intermediate target represents the flag or the target down the fairway that you're trying to aim to. That way, when you line the club up to your target, then and only then do you line up your body to the golf club. Most people just grab the golf club and set up to the ball and wing it. But you're not that way. You have a methodology now that you can work on. You work on it for a while, and when you feel like it's stressing you, you need to come back and see me. But I think you're going to be really good at this swing. There's some pretty obvious changes we made, and you'll see that as we go along and progress. But just covering some of the areas that I look for in a proper setup. We start at the ball position, and then we look at the width of our feet. They need to be about shoulder width apart. So that's 90 degrees. So your feet are about 6 inches too wide on the right foot, and on the left foot, it's about right if you were to have your heel inside of that and your foot turned out. We always want to make sure our left foot is turned out in our stance in order to protect our left knee. If you put pressure against the outside of your left knee and your foot is turned square to your target line like that, you're going to have a lot of problems down the road. Another thing we look for, Miguel, is a inline rod formation so that our arm is in line with the golf shaft. And it's pretty close here. It's a little off, not much, but you can see that there's a little sway in your left arm. It is not in line with the golf shaft. However, we did achieve that through instruction. Make sure that your left biflex is the inside of your left bicep is sitting up on your pectoral muscle, which will help straighten that left arm. Remember how I showed you how to hang it up on your left breast area, which covers the pectoral muscle, and that just hangs there at that point. That makes it easy for the arm to slide up the arm and back down the arm through the swing process. If it's stuck to the side of your body, it's going to push against your rib cage, and you're going to end up bending your right arm and elbow to bring the club up to the top, and that is what takes you off your original swing plane. When we set up to swing on plane, we want to be on plane before we even take the club back. We don't want to try to maneuver the club back on plane to hit the ball straight. So therefore, your left arm needs to be in line with the golf shaft. And then with the right hand grip, we call that the claw, where the palm is actually underneath the center of the club facing up. What that does is it opens up your forearm to point at the sky. And by that position, it's called a non-rotational position, you're able to fold and unfold the right forearm in the takeaway, which makes it very easy to take the club to the top on plane. And then you return the club back down to the ball, the impact area. You're already on plane coming back to the ball. Remember, don't hit the ball, swing the shaft. The ball will always get in the way, and that will make it a much more fun game for you because you're practicing swinging down through the impact, into post-impact, and then make a nice turn and finish at the top. Another thing we look for, let me clear these for you, is we look for spine tilt and sternum tilt. Spine tilt would be your, let me get rid of this arrow, excuse me. The spine tilt would be, you come up, you have a little knee flex, we go up to your hip, and then your body, your spine would be at an angle like that, and your head would come out like so. Okay, and I'll do that when we get to the down the line, but that's what spine tilt is. Your sternum tilt is this in the front. It has to be somewhere around 75 to 79 degrees, and you're at 86 degrees, and that indicates that you're standing too upright. So what you want to do is make sure that from the waist area up, that you tilt your body, your upper body, away from the target a couple inches. There's 77 degrees. So you see the difference between the red line and the yellow line. It's only about 3 inches, maybe 2.5. So you only need to tilt your body to the right a little bit at address position. That will help keep the hands forward over the left thigh. You want to have your hands about where they are, inner left thigh, maybe just a little bit farther, but that's what we want. Our shoulder tilt, we want between 17 and 21 degrees, and your shoulders are currently at 13. So what we need is a little bit more tilt with your sternum away from the target where that vertical yellow line is. It's actually not vertical at this point, but it's pointing a little bit left. And if you lean a little bit more away from the target, then your shoulders will go into a deeper tilt, and you'll be somewhere around 17 to 21. So in the sternum, we want the yellow line, and in the shoulders, we want the red line. And how you get there is just a simple little tilt so that your right shoulder drops, and that places your right hand under the left hand on the golf club in a very comfortable and sort of a poetic position. Now, also what we look for that I see here is that your right thumb cannot be on top of that golf grip like that. It has to be either laying across at an angle or at the very least pointing at 11 o'clock. Reason being, you get to the top of your swing, your thumbs will take over and push on that golf grip, and you will start to unload the power that you built up in that big, wide shoulder turn you make, and all of a sudden you'll lose the power. You get back down the ball, then all you have left is arm swing. There's no load left on the shaft because you got rid of that before you got to the ball, and then you're just swinging arm speed trying to hit the ball out there. You have to snap that club head through an impact, and the only way you can do that is put load on the shaft. All right? Okay. Next thing we look for is our head position. We want our head position to be turned slightly to your right so that your eyes are pointing, or nose, if you want to call it that, back here where the club head's supposed to be. Okay? So we want your heads turned a little bit to the right so your nose is pointing down there behind that golf club. All right? We also want your golf club to be about 3 inches behind the ball, which sets up the butt end of the club to point at your pivot point, which is left of your belly button about 6 inches. And that pivot point is crucial to where the club and the body intersect because they're the ones that do all the work. This is where we want your shoulder to club head measurement all right, and you are currently right up against the ball, and it's more of a steep angle to the ball, that's not going to work as well as the yellow line. So you want to keep that club always a few inches behind the ball, every club in your bag, and it's important. The gap that goes from back here to the ball is closed every time in the downswing, directly because of this pivot point right there. So when you turn and make a lateral shift down the target line, your hip closes the gap wherever that club is. Doesn't matter how wide that gap is between back here and the ball. That pivot point right here is the guy that's going to make the difference in your golf swing by sending the ball down the target line at your target. Okay, let's get rid of these. Get on a blue line, which represents your 90-degree vertical post that we talked about. And when you turn to the right with your shoulders, we don't want any part of your body going past that vertical limit, because when you do, you get out of timing, you get out of position, and you cannot lead the downswing with your lower body because you've swayed past vertical. All right, makes sense to you? All right, here we go. We're going up, and you see how you're rotating your shoulders. Pretty good shoulder turn, but you're allowing your head to turn too much. Your feet are a little too wide, but you stayed inside the blue line. Now, one thing I want to show you in your takeaway is I want you to start turning your shoulders and allow the left hand on the club to just be passive and work with the left shoulder to turn that back. Once your hands get to be about, say, waist high, you can roll your left hand over and cock your wrist really tight as you get to the top. All fabricated from that right forearm folding up and folding down. If you don't fold that right arm and you bend it instead, you'll never stay on plane. So we need to get you to learn to what it looks like, what it feels like, etc. Okay? Here we go up. You see how you're cocking your hands up? You're kind of letting your shoulders rotate, your left shoulder rotate down as your hands cock up. See your hands cocking back? What I want you to do is just turn your shoulders. Turn your shoulders so when you get to the top of your swing, you're looking over your left shoulder at the top of your swing with right at the ball. Let's get this up here to the top. Whoops, went too far. There. That's not too bad. The part that I'm looking at that is really out of position is that this knee is flexed inward like this, and this knee's actually going this way. Okay? When you set up in your setup position, which makes you a very consistent golfer, is to restrict your hips from turning too far to the right. And it also helps the hips from turning at the same time the shoulders do. Even though they're both connected via your spine, you have to restrict your hips from turning so that you can build power in your upper body. And how you do that? Mechanically, the best way to do it is to bend this knee inward at your address position. Okay? See how far yours is pointing out away from? In fact, your right knee is even with your right shoulder. It's about 6 inches too far to the right. Right where this bend is in the yellow lines here, I want you to see that. That's where you need to keep that knee flexed in that same position all the way to the top. Look how far your knee moves out. Your knee is basically outside of your right hip. Now watch when you try to come back down in the downswing, you'll have a lot of difficulty moving the lower body first because you're out of position. Your weight is standing over the top of your right foot. In fact, if you look at your right foot, you can see that the weight is pressing against the outside of your shoe. So your arch is sort of starting to come up. It should be the other way around. You should have an angle on that, so that from the top of your thigh down to that inside of that right foot arch, your thigh and calf should be on an angle like that. So your knee and angle and knee angle, thigh and calf have moved 5 or 6 inches to the right, and your stance is too wide. So, just predicting the obvious here, watch when you start to downswing. See how your arms and hands move first? Let me take it back up. In fact, allow me to put a circle around that club head. Now, watch how far your club head moves before your lower body starts to engage. There. The right knee is just now starting to move. Okay? So, would it seem reasonable that that club head moved about 9 to 12 feet in the swing circle? 9 to 12 feet if you put that on an arc. There's only one way to put an arc, and that's kind of, oops, that's a little too big there. Let's go here. That's it. Mess it up, Bob. I did a mess it up, Bob deal. There it is. Okay. So we moved from 215, almost 215 at the top, to 3 o'clock. I mean, you moved at least over a third of the swing circle. You swung with your upper body before your lower body engaged. Okay? So, where do we start? Let's start at the top. There. Whoops. Let me back that up. There. Okay. Now, you see, actually it was farther than I even grabbed the first time. So, look at where your club head is, Miguel, and look how far it moves. So you moved all of 9 to 12 feet before your lower body engaged. And where you are right now, your lower body, oops, another circle, how fun. Okay. This knee should move forward and down, and this one should move forward and down as well. So both knees should move forward and down so that you can stay down, and your left hip should always go right at your target. That left hip should slide right down that long yellow arrow. And if you turn that hip left before impact, guess what's going to happen? You're going to, swinging flat on one plane like you're doing, you swing into the ball with a stance that wide, with your hips turning, you're going to hit the ball with most of your weight on your right foot, and you're going to hook the ball left. So in order to avoid that, we need to make a lateral shift with our hips, thighs, knees, and feet. Anything from the belt buckle down absolutely has to move first at the top. So you take the club up to the top, you pause, and you shift with your lower body, and then swing like a demon. Okay? Once you shift first, you can swing hard if you want, but you have to move your lower body first. And it starts with your knees and feet. From the ground up, they say. That is imperative. Okay? So, how does that look in comparison to that stance? See, you're standing real upright. Your left shoulder's open. Your ball position's off. Your feet are too wide, etc., etc. That's okay. That's why you came to me. That's no big deal. We fixed that, right? Look at you now. You even got a little warm. You had to take off your sweatshirt. But you see now you look more like a golfer. I mean, that from left to right is 100% improvement. Look at the ball position. That's one. Look at the club head position, several inches behind the ball, which promotes a good inline rod formation instead of this one over here that's bent to here, and then down. You see? So the one picture on the right has a much superior foot position. Both the feet are great. You've created a nice triangle here that you can work off of in your swing. All right? This is not a good triangle here because it's out of proportion. The one on the right is what's perfect. I mean, that's really excellent setup. Your head is in a little bit better position. Your left shoulder is up and your shoulders are parallel to your target. Your hips are parallel. Your knees and feet are parallel to your target, whereas you're all out of whack on the left. But that's because you didn't know. And then after some instruction, look how much you've improved in your setup just in one lesson. Very good. As you take the club back, look, you don't just pull your hands back, you turn your shoulders, and then you start cocking. Look at that. See? What a huge difference. Now I'm going to correct you on one thing when you get to the top here. Look at this. Nice flat swing up to the shoulders. This knee, your left knee, should come in a little bit more inward towards the ball instead of just flexing your thigh that way. One of the problems in the top of your swing is this right here. Your right knee is extended straight, and you're allowing your weight to still roll over onto the outside of that right foot. Plant that foot, don't move it, and pinch your right knee inward, and the rest will come. That's a very nice position at the top. As we work together on this, you'll end up with your hands like this, and then the club head up here. That's the position you want at the top, with your left arm and then the club shaft itself, okay? I mean, great progress though, Miguel. Really, really impressive. I mean, of course you're younger and you're athletic, and you're going to be able to have good range of motion and flexibility, which you should. And with proper guidance, it'll only get better as you roll through this, okay? Okay, the right knee, you see how straight that is? All right, now what I'm going to do is get out of this just briefly before I go to the down the line stuff. And I want to show you Mo Norman, world's best ball striker. I told you I'd throw that in there for you so you can see what he looks like in the beginning, okay? Here is his inline rod formation, in line with the golf shaft perfectly, perfect. He has a very wide stance because he has a driver. You have a 7-iron in your hand and yours is just as wide, too wide for an iron. That's okay. He has a lot of spine tilt. Right behind his wrist here is his belt buckle, and he's up there like 71 degrees, and his shoulder tilt is at 24. That's where he starts, all right? So just food for thought on that. Then he's going to take the club back, swinging his shoulders and torso and arms, all one piece. He's still in a triangular motion with his arms. Now watch here. This is key, Miguel. When he gets to the top, his hands will get almost to shoulder height, and then he makes a big lateral shift onto his left foot. Watch how this moves. You see all that pressure moving forward on that left knee? Look at where his hands are. Shoulder height, 80% of his weight's on his left foot. And look at the torque on that shaft, 47 degrees. That's phenomenal. Most people are lucky if they get to 60. I mean, this is just raw power here, this man. 77 years old, the guy you're looking at here, 77 years old, and still hit the ball at that age. 280 yards consistently off the tee, down the middle. A guy with a reputation who never missed a fairway in professional golf. 7 years in a row, he never missed a fairway. He hit the ball down the middle 7 years in a row. Never missed. This guy was just phenomenal. And so the swing you're learning is the swing I'm teaching you. There isn't anything about this swing that doesn't look right. Look at that. There's some serious impact. His leg, See how his knee is? It's over here. It's way back. The front, perfect. Kind of a bow action to it, see? And, of course, at impact, he has a nice straight rod formation right down the golf shaft with his arm. His shoulders are at 35 degrees of tilt, and he has a perfect position with his arms. That triangle just looks great. The club head speed's really moving out. Now, when he gets out here into post-impact, that's when the right arm, it switches from the left arm to the right arm, and it lines up in line with the rod in his golf shaft. Same position. When hands get just above his belt line, he rolls his hands over. He rolls his hands over again, and he gets to the top. He just keeps rolling over until he finishes. And look at his feet. That wide, that age, with that much flexibility, and he's still flat on the ground. He only brings his right foot up slightly when he gets right there. He just finishes, and his right heel starts to come off the ground a little bit. See? So this is the man, now that you have him on video, this is the guy you want to emulate. Of course, you can emulate me too, because my swing's pretty good. It looks just like his, but we'll show you that a different day on film. All right. So that's what he looks like, and this is what you look like. You see? So you're pretty close. Now, since I only have a few minutes left, I always save the down the line stuff for later. This is you in the morning, and what I'm looking for is the shaft angle, and see how well your hands stay on that angle going up the shaft. You see how you just, your shoulder dips down to the left. It just kind of dips down, and you should be turning it, not dipping it. Your hands, see, you're cocking your hands back first, and you become, you're barely even turning, and the butt end of your club is already not pointing at your pivot point. It's changed direction. So we want to go up that line and stay on that line. Right here at the top, it looks pretty good. However, remember the right knee? Look at that thing, straight as a pole. Really need to have flexion there, Miguel, just like that. Keep that knee flexed through the entire swing so that you stay on plane. When your leg straightens, your hands go above the plane line, and then when you come back down to hit, you've changed directions, changed swing planes. You hit the ball pretty decent, but right there is your new plane line that you established at the top of your swing. See the difference? Both those lines should be touching, but they're not, because your legs straightened and you changed planes. Then when you came down, it just changed, okay? And then your feet like to spin. Okay, only got a minute left. Sorry, I'm on a time limit. They only gave me 30 minutes with these videos. So here we are. After a lot of instruction, you had a lot of successes, and I'm going to take this, watch your hands. Much better turn, rotation, much better. Right on the line, see? You still have that stiff right knee, but we'll work on that. And your arms are in line with your shoulders, see? They're parallel. As you come down to impact, you do a great job staying on plane. See that? You're right on plane, you hit the ball, and off it goes straight down the middle. Okay. With what I have left, I'm going to close. If you have any questions, write them down, email me, or call me. And I can't thank you enough for allowing me to work with you on your swing. I hope you come back. I hope you enjoyed this video. You're doing a great job. Keep in touch, and we will talk again. Really, really good work out there, Miguel. Congratulations. Talk to you soon. Take care.